originally we were going to meet up to talk about our 5 favorite graphic novels.
Yes, and as people might know, our favorites can change from whatever mood we are in that day. Is it sunny out? Is it rainy outside? Has this been a good day, a bad day? But these are the top 5 books that I picked out of my shelves right now that I just appreciate the stories and everything, and maybe not the best quality in book, but we can either speak quality in books or stories, whatever.
Yeah, it's hard to know whether we meant. I mean, we didn't really agree whether we were talking about the 5 best graphic novels, physical graphic novels that have come out, or our favorite 5, like our favorite stories.
So what I took was favorite stories.
And actually, I think what I took was favorite stories as well. So we're lucky. I think we're lucky we agreed with what we meant.
We can always do another hangout with and talk about quality and everything when it comes to books.
Yeah, sure. Go on, go for it. Let's see what you got.
Of course, we'll start with a Marvel book. So here is Amazing Spider-Man Civil War.
Yeah.
This is the paperback.
Yeah.
The poor man's book of Civil War.
I hear on the grapevine you're due for an upgrade, though.
Yes, it is on the way from Germany. It is now officially my most expensive book in the collection, but worth it. And would there ever be a situation where I would need to flip anything, that book has great potential for that.
Yeah, right now I would say the value of that book, for those people that don't know, is around the £100 mark in UK or $150 mark, $160 mark US. Anything up to $200 is still fair warn, but anything above that, I think you're overpaying. Anything below 150 and you've done really well.
And people still try to get that out of that book.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And then some.
I think I'm still in luck because the Captain America Civil War movie hasn't come out yet, and that movie would probably spike that book to the highest.
Oh yeah, I think it will move to probably $250, even $250.
That is not impossible.
Yeah, so that's quite scary. They're starting to talk scary money. And actually, I've got a couple of books behind me. Later, if we have time, I can show you some scary money books that I do not understand or did not pay that kind of money for the books. Something we can discuss either a later time or maybe today. Go on, what have you got? Number 2.
Yes. So that was Spider-Man. And should we talk about some of these stories after we've shown them? I think we should do that.
Yeah, okay, yeah, go for it, sure.
The second one, a DC book, my Flash Rebirth in hardcover.
Hey, I love that book, yeah.
It's a great introduction. This was my first Flash book that I ever read. I read it in paperback then, and just need to upgrade it once I had the chance.
Sure.
And it introduces basically the whole Flash universe.
Yeah.
All the characters involved, and it takes place right after Grant Morrison's Final Crisis.
Sure. And it's Jeff Johns, for those people that don't know.
Of course.
And we all love Jeff Johns, don't we?
Yeah. I wonder how much of it, if Jeff Johns talked much with Grant Morrison about taking back the Flash, and how that was planned out, and if Grant Morrison went to Johns and said, "Hey, I'm bringing back this character. Maybe you can do something with him now."
Yeah. I don't think I'd be really surprised if Grant Morrison talks to anybody. I mean, I can see on the back left there, you've got his book. I can see in the background.
Super Gods.
And I've also got that same book. I've read that book, and I mean, yeah. And Super Gods kind of cemented to me what I felt Grant Morrison feels about himself. So I don't think he probably talked to anybody, or I don't know. I'd be surprised.
I can still recommend this book to anyone's interested in comic books and are new to the community and Grant Morrison's, because this is a great book for both his self-biography and the history of comic books.
Sure, yeah, sure.
I have one more book. I don't know if you have this one, but it's the Marvel Comics, the Untold Story.
No, I've seen that. Is it a good book? I was contemplating getting that.
I haven't even cracked the spine, man, but I'll get to it someday.
Yeah, you let me know.
Let's see. Moving on.
Number 3.
Yes.
These aren't any particular order, are they? They're not like in order.
No. I put the paperback on top so it would be as much damaged.
Sure. Yeah, sure.
So another regular size hardcover. This is
the first one, by the way, we didn't mention that was JMS. That was a JMS book, Joe Michael Straczynski.
absolutely one of the greatest Spider-Man writers out there.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Yes, this is this writer's best story arc from Now and Forever. Scott Snyder's The Black Mirror.
Of course, phenomenal. I got mine signed by Scott Snyder. I love that book. You are a man after my own heart.
Awesome. How was it meeting him?
You can watch it. There's an interview you can watch with me doing it.
Oh, great! I'll watch that.
It's on YouTube. But he's one of the nicest guys I think I've ever met in comic books. He's very personable. He doesn't, if you go and speak to Grant Morrison, you feel like he feels he's bigger than the comic book industry, whereas Scott Snyder feels like he's so humble and modest and such a lovely guy. He teaches English at university. That's what he does when he's not writing comic books.
I think you actually can see, obviously, their writing reflects themselves in some way, and I think you can see that when it comes to Scott Snyder's writing.
Definitely one of my favorite writers right now.
Yeah. This is one of the best runs. This is what you should read if you're a fan of Scott Snyder. This is pre-New 52, Dick Grayson as Batman.
Yeah. And I actually asked him about that book specifically in the interview. I said to him, like, he focuses more on the detective side of Batman than the fighting side of Batman. It was very dark. It was very gritty. It was very like, is he going to be able to work out the situation that's occurred in this book? Not, oh, look, this is the world of the superheroes. It took us away from the world of the superheroes for the first time with Batman in a while. I felt very much in the world of the Bat, not so much in the world of DC.
Well, it was in the Detective Comics as well, and it did have a great storyline out through, even though you didn't suspect it being this huge story arc all the way through, because it's all these little sections of different stories, finished arcs, but then they're all connected in the end.
Yeah.
Number 4. One of the later reprints from DC in oversized hardcover deluxe. The Identity Crisis by Brad Meltzer and Rags Morales.
I have the older version of that book. Is this oversized, this version?
This is oversized.
Right. So the old one I don't think is oversized. I can't remember, but I don't think it's oversized.
I think it's regular size.
Yeah.
What do you think of this story arc?
I love that book a lot. I think it's Brad Meltzer's best work. It personalizes yourself with the characters. Again, it's another one of those books that doesn't make you feel like they're superheroes. They have real problems in that book. They have real issues.
Yes, absolutely. And featuring one of the greatest panels. My favorite issue, I don't know if it's issue number 4 or 5 when it comes to let's see, I think it's Tim Drake's dad, Rick.
Yeah.
Drake? Richard Drake.
Yeah, Richard Drake. Yeah.
Yes, and the issue with it's very intense. Batman being in Batmobile and everything, running against time, talking with Robin, talking with Rick's dad at the same time, and featuring this most heart-wrenching panel ever, seeing complete fear in someone's eyes. I think you know which panel I'm talking about.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Yes. See if I can find that. And the artwork, some of the best. It's beautiful.
The artwork's beautiful. Brad Meltzer, if you didn't know, by the way, I don't know. I'm not talking so much to you, but the audience. He wrote quite a few books that had that kind of interpersonal touch. I think one was called the Tornado's Path. I'm not 100% sure about that. I'm not very good with remembering names, but I think there was also another one called the Lightning Saga. But you should check that out.
Absolutely, I've read both of them.
Yeah. Those are both Brad Meltzer, aren't they?
Yes.
So.
I found it. It's this full page.
Oh wow.
Hopefully we'll get enough light on that, but those eyes.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's fear.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah,
And
I need to read that book again. I mean, I obviously remember the story, but I forget. I remember that panel as well. It's so striking, but I forget little details, and it's one of those books that I definitely would like to go back and have a look at one more time.
Great mystery detective story. It involves the whole JLA. It's about betrayal and everything, and what a hero stands for.
Yeah.
And let's see. Yeah, it even brings out the humanity in the villains.
It's one of those stories where at the beginning you think you know what the answer's obviously going to be to the problem that's occurred. You know, I think it's with, is it Plastic Man at the beginning?
Yeah. Elongated Man.
Sorry, Elongated Man. Apologies to all the fans out there. You know, I'm more a Marvel person than a DC person, but Elongated Man. Yes, Elongated Man. And I remember you're like, yeah, obviously I know what's you know who's done this and what the reason is, and then your head is just flipped right over halfway through the story
because of one question.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, who benefits? Yeah. So what's number? Was that number 4? Was that?
Yes, number 4. And
so we got one more great book to come along. What have you got?
And when I talk about this book, I always refer to it as JMS Poetry of Spider-Man.
Sure.
And pretty much his whole run is poetry, but this one in particular spells it out.
Yeah. That book's become out of print and hard to get hold of these days, actually.
Yeah, Spider-Man: The Other, Evolve or Die.
Yeah. Talking about flipping a story on its head.
Absolutely, and it's so good. So basically what it is we all know Spider-Man and his powers and everything, but he could, this story basically says he could be so much more if he just embraced the spider.
Yeah.
And just not the man.
Well, it asked the question again as to whether he's a mutant or not. Really, it was weird. It was a weird question that he's asking as to whether
if the spider tried to give him his powers before the radiation killed it, or if it was the radiation.
Yeah, that's right. So was it like a mutagenic change in his DNA, or was it the radiation that's caused the damage?
Exactly.
Like, has he got powers on? Yeah, it was a very weird thing that JMS done. He must have really thought outside of the box, because it totally hadn't. I don't think it'd been done before at all.
The box doesn't exist for him. I don't think.
Yeah, totally. And I agree with you. One of my favorite stories as well.
One of the panels is, I think he's hallucinating or dreaming at this point, but he gets visited by the spirit of the spider.
Is it like a supersized giant spider, like crypt that they?
Exactly, and it also takes the form to resemble a more animalistic like Spider-Man, and it tells him that you have to embrace the spider by making a suit. You thought that you could take the spider away, so that you could separate you from the spider at times, but no.
Yeah. Oh, and obviously for those, we didn't get a chance to talk about the first book, which was because I cut you up. Sorry about that. It was the first one was JMS's run, where he reveals himself to the public about who his real identity was as part of Civil War.
And most of those stories are always great. I mean, I read Brian Michael Bendis' Daredevil run recently, and that's mostly about him being demasked and everything.
Yeah.
And those stories always goes home. They had I could say, you could say that they had some problems dealing with this after a while. I mean, after the storyline.
Is it when they had to do the magical reset?
Yes.
Mephisto resets the whole thing. So many people. It's such a dodgy topic.
Well, you have this kind of map out of your characters and what they are and what you think of them, and that one kind of makes you rethink everything. You have to redraw your map of how you think of the character and everything, and reset yourself for a couple of years.
Do you remember I was saying that Scott Snyder was so humble and modest? Well, I met Joe Quesada and I asked him about this, and he refused to talk about it. He said, I do not want to talk about this at all. He said to me, if we're going to do an interview, then you are not allowed to bring this subject up. That's what he actually said to me.
Okay.
I've done an interview with him on YouTube. You can watch it. that's another interesting conversation for another time.
Okay, so that's my top 5 right now, and I hope some of you people have read these books and agree with me on some points. And yeah,